Hi everyone and welcome back to the Multiverse of 100 plus data science project series. In this video, we're going to be building on multiple disease prediction applications using Python and Streamlit. So बिना किसी तरह के हर हर महादेव बोल के start करते हैं tutorial. In this Multiverse series, we already covered 15 projects. So from this 15 projects, we're going to select here 3 projects in order to building these multiple disease prediction applications. And in this notebook, you can see here I have the diabetes predictions, the heart disease and also the kidney disease. And inside the dataset folder, I have in the dataset for the diabetes, the heart and also the kidney disease. And inside the save model, I have the model file in a pickle format. Now using this saved model file, I mean the pickle file, I'm trying to building one Streamlit applications. So now what I can do, I'm simply going to close this one, close this one, close this one, and try to creating here a new Python file. That's called app.py. Now using this Python file, I'm trying to building one Streamlit application. So what is Streamlit? Streamlit is nothing but a Python library. Using this, you can create some web applications, interactive web application without writing HTML, CSS or JavaScript code. So first thing first, I'm going to importing it here. So let's say import Streamlit as st and make sure that you install this library on your system. So for this project, I'm going to using here the Python 3.8.5. Well, so now what I'm going to do, I'm simply going to import here the pickle because I need to also load here the file from my saved model folder. Then I'm going to import here the OS because OS is needed because I'm trying to give here my absolute path. So let's say import OS. Then I'm going to importing here the Streamlit option menu. Why? I'm trying to creating here the application just like this one, just like the scene of the VS Code. Inside the VS Code, you can see here it having some drop down. So inside the drop down, I have in 3 buttons for the diabetes, for the kidney, and also the heart disease. Then inside that you have the all of the text boxes where you can give here your input. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm going to import here is Streamlit option menu. So from Streamlit, so Streamlit, okay, you can see option menu, and I'm going to import here the option menu. So let's say option menu. Okay, you can also use here 5, 4, 6, 7, all the project you can actually use it here in order to building the application. I just chose here the 3 best 3 projects one, so that video काफी लंबा नहीं हो. Okay, so now what I can do, I'm simply going to creating here my page configuration. So let's say I'm going to using here st dot then we have the page config, and inside that you need to give here the page title. So let's see page title, and inside this page title, what I can do, I'm simply going to giving here a page title. Let's call multiple disease prediction. Let's say like this. Okay, multiple disease predictions. Now inside that, what I can do, and it also giving here the layout, in which layout you're trying to see it. It's better you can give here the in white layout so that your application is just look like that. I mean, it will cover all of the space in your application. So let's say I'm going to giving it here with, okay, then white, sorry, with not with, and I'm going to giving here the page icon. So you can giving here the page icon, but by default I'm trying to make it right now blank. You can also using here the Windows button and dot, and it actually opening your the emoji options in your keyboard, I mean your Windows. Okay, so you can select any of them. So let's select कौन सा select करें यहाँ से. Let's try to select any one of them. Okay, let's select this one. Okay, let's select this one. Okay, you can select any of them. Okay, आपको search करना पड़ेगा यहाँ पर. Okay, that's fine now. So now what I can do, I am simply going to creating here the working directory for my app.py file. You can also do it manually. Okay, you can do it manually, but as a programmer, you can also initialize here your working directory because we also import here the OS. Okay, let's say what I'm talking about. So let's say we're having the diabetes. Okay, diabetes model. So what I can do, I'm simply going to using here this pickle. So pickle dot load, and simply you can pass here your model where your model actually available inside the safe model folder. So if I go on that and try to creating copy this path, copy path, and if I try to paste it here, and you can see here this is the path of my file. If I try to copy, let's say diabetes, and this one copy the relative path, let's check here. If I copy this relative path, just go on here and try to remove this. Just remove this and try to paste it here. You can see here I just got here the relative path. So you can also using this relative path because this app.py is in the same directory. So you just need to copy these things here, right? But if you're trying to keeping the absolute path, so what you need to do, you need to creating here on working directory for your absolute path. So how do you do that? You can using here os.path, okay, os.path, okay, dot rename, Okay, dir name, it's nothing but called a directory name, and inside that you can pass here your absolute path. So let's say path dot abs path. Okay, abs path, simple. Now inside this you can giving here the file. Okay, now it will giving you the absolute working directory. So if you try to using here, let's say working directory like this way, and you can get here your working directory. That's it. That's it. Okay, simple. Now you can using here this working directory, like you can also using here the working directory here. Okay, otherwise you can give here the relative path also. Okay, so now what I can do, I'm simply going to using here the working directory, because it's as a programmer, it's your work to make a code like programmatically, right? So let's close this out. Now inside that I need to creating here, let's say I'm just going to cut this and paste it here, any of here, because I need it. So inside that I'm going to using here the open, and inside this open I'm going to using here the app string, and inside this app string I am trying to giving here my working directory. So let's say working directory. So working directory, it will give me here the all the copy path, and I'm going to copy this from here. So just copy this from here, and inside that I need to giving here on backslash and paste it here. Okay, simple. So I need to also using here like this way. Okay, that's it. Now I need to giving here the mode. So in which mode? I'm going to using here the read mode. So RB, simple. Okay, fine. Now I need to also read all the file for the hard and also the key diseases. So for that, what I can do, I'm simply using here the hard disease. So hard disease model, and I'm simply going to copy this out, the pickle file. And if I go inside that, you can see hard.pickle. So just change it out. So hard.pickle, and I have to do the same thing for kidney disease. So let's say kidney, okay, disease model. Simple. Okay, now I'm simply going to paste it here again and try to make it kidney, KIDNEY, kidney disease. Fine. So all of the model file is loaded right now. So what I can do now, we're going to creating here our interface. We're going to creating here our interface. So further, what I have, we have just one navigations. It's also called the sidebar. So you can get it from my Streamlit. So for that, I'm going to using here with, because it's available inside my sidebar. So st dot, and inside the sidebar, so this is the sidebar, and inside the sidebar what I have some option menu, so that I can select the diabetes or the kidney or the heart disease. So what I can do, I am simply going to using here the option menu. So this option menu, and inside this option menu I need to giving here something like, I need to give here menu title, I need to giving here some options, I mean how many options are available. You can also giving here the menu icon, you can give it here. Okay, so what I can do, I'm simply going to giving here one name. So the same name, I'm just going to copy this from here, this paste title, and I'm going to paste it here. Simple. Now that I'm giving here all of the options in a, you can see options is any. So I have three options. So I need to give it here inside one list. So let's give it here. First one, let's call diabetes prediction. Okay, prediction. Then we have the heart disease. So let's select this one. Let's say heart. Okay, heart disease prediction. Fine. Okay, heart disease prediction. Then what I have, we have the kidney disease. So let's say kidney disease prediction. Okay, fine. Then what I have, I'm not giving here one default index. You can also give it here. By default is index number 0. You can giving here the menu icon. So let's give here one menu icon. Okay, so let's give it the menu icon is, let's say, hospital field. Okay, you can go on inside your Streamlit documentations and try to check it from here. So let's say hospital field. Then what I can do, we can simply give it here the icons. So let's say icons, it having the icons. Okay, icons, you need to give here the icons in order to just like your disease name. So let's say diabetes predictions. So let's give here some icons. I already noted out. Let's call activity. Then we have in the herd. So activity, I need to giving, okay, activity. Then second one, herd is available. So let's make it herd. Okay. Then we having another one. I forget. Let's give it to the person. Now, as it now. So there is another one, which is quite interesting. I found it out. Okay, no problem. We'll also get it out from our documentations. So that's it. Now we can also giving here default index. So let's give it here the default index now. So let's give it the default index is right on 0. Fine. So now our sidebar is created. So now what I can do, we can inside this sidebar, we can, let's make it selected. Okay, selected. Now inside this sidebar, what I can do is simply going to select it, the a menu. Let's say if I selected the diabetes, it will go inside the diabetes. If I selected the heart disease predictions, it will go inside the heart disease predictions. Just like that, just like that. So now what I can do is simply going to creating here one if statement. So let's say if, okay, simply going to creating here the if statement. And to use it inside the with clause, because the sidebar, the if condition should be inside the sidebar. So let's say if selected is, let's say equal, let's say this one, diabetes predictions. Okay, diabetes predictions. So it will go inside this diabetes predictions. Okay, let's try it out. Let's make it pass now. Okay, let's try to make it pass now. So if it is selected, let's say the hard disk, and then it will go for the hard disk. Okay, so what I can do is simply going to copy this out, and I'm going to paste it here, and I'm going to paste it here. So let's say if it is hard disk, so let's copy this out from here, and let's paste it out here. Then you have the kidney disease predictions, so copy this out, and I'm going to paste it here. Simple, simple. So if it is selected the diabetes prediction, it will open the diabetes prediction one. If it is selected the kidney disease predictions, it will select open the kidney disease one. Okay, that's it. So now what I can do is simply going to run it out. So now the question is, how can you run it? In order to actually running this efficient application, you can use here Python app.py. You need to using here another command that's called the Streamlit run. Okay, you need to go on here and go on the terminal, new terminal. Okay, so new terminal is created. I mean opening. Now I'm typing here Streamlit. Okay, let's try to make it out like that. थोड़ा पीछे जाओ. Okay, Streamlit run app.py. Okay, now it is running these applications on a local host. Well, so as you can see here, it's running on the local host 8501, and you can see here all of the drop down, button like diabetes predictions, the heart disease, the kidney disease. You can select any of them. So when you can select the diabetes prediction, it will show the boxes of the input for the diabetics features. Then it will predict the diabetes, that either if the person having the diabetes or not. So if I go inside that and try to go inside the setting, and now you can see here white mode is right now tick mark. Okay, it is selected. So you can also select here your any kind of theme like dirt theme, the light theme, or the custom theme. You can also using it here. Okay, you can also click here to run on save. You can do it, but I don't think that is needed. Okay, let's try to close it out. Now let's go on our BS code again. Okay, so here is our BS code. So you can also running this right now. Otherwise, you can also stop this out. Okay, so what I can do, I simply go on here and try to implement in these diabetes predictions. Okay, so inside the diabetes prediction, what I have certain column. So go inside this notebook, and you can see diabetes predictions. So this is a code for the diabetes prediction model. We already discussed about that. You can see here, we actually using here so many algorithm and try to select the best one. And after that, you can see here you also using here the features encoding. The feature selections and also feature encoding. So we have some extra feature also like new BMI, new insulin score. You need to also using this one. Okay, you need to also using this one. You can say pregnancy, the glucose, the blood pressures, the skin thickness, and all of the things, and it also using it here. Okay, so now if I go down, and you can see we having one thing. We actually saved our model inside the pickle format. Inside our pickle format, if I go down, you can say pickle format. Okay, pickle.dump. Okay, we're using here the GBC one. Okay, gradient boosting one. Okay, it having the accuracy, you just need to using here the GBC. Okay, that's nothing but the correction you need to do. Okay, GBC accuracy for actually for some mistake actually be giving here the accuracy one. I need to giving here the actual model, the GBC. Okay, okay, GBC, that's why. So what I can do now, so using this model, I am trying to predict the diabetes predictions. Diabetes. Okay. So for that, I will go inside my app.py and try to creating here one title. So let's call st.title. And inside this title, I'm going to giving here the diabetes prediction model, predictions using machine learning. So let's say diabetes predictions, prediction using machine learning, like this, machine learning. Okay, let's say learning. Okay, that's it. So you can save it out here. Okay, now it's having the title. If I go inside this application again, just showing, you can see here it's loaded, and you can see diabetes predictions. Okay, prediction galat ho chuka hai यहाँ पर. So you can also using here this random save. Just go on settings and random save. You can also tick mark it. Let's go it here and try to check this out. Okay, so now let's go on here. I'm not going to go inside this application and again predictions. Okay, that's fine. Now what I can do, we're going to creating here three columns. That means inside our application we having just three columns. I mean three columns, like three boxes. Like each box is having one, two, three, like that. One, two, three. I mean in same screen it having the three boxes. Three boxes. So for that, let's go show some shell. Okay. So inside this, I need to have the three columns. I mean each row, each column, yeah, it having the three columns. So getting the input from the users. So we have the three columns. So let's say column one, so column two, and column three. Okay, let's using here the st dot columns. So columns. Let's try to discuss about this thing again. Okay, let's open the paint. It's better. Okay, paint. See, in this application we have maybe 7 to 8 columns. So what I have in this screen, we having the one column. In the one column we have one box and another column and another columns. I mean three columns. One, two, three. I mean in the each screen it having the three boxes. Okay, so after the three boxes it will again go to the next line. So again it having the three boxes, three boxes, three boxes, like this. My handwriting, I'm not, my drawing skill is really very bad. Okay, like this way it will creating the boxes. This is the box is nothing but called the input box. I mean taking the input from the users. Okay, like for the pregnancies or age or BMI, like that. Okay, now what I can do, let's say column one with column one, what I can do first, going to take in the input for the pregnancies. If I go inside this diabetes.pickle, okay, diabetes.pickle not, let's go inside this data set and diabetes. You can see a pregnancy. So first column name is called the pregnancy. So let's take in the input for the pregnancies. Okay. So what I can do, we can using here the st dot text input. Okay, text input. This one. Now inside that I have to giving here one message. Let's call number of pregnancies. Okay, that's it. Then inside this column number two, let's get column number two. Let's column number two. So what we having the glucose. If I go inside this, you can see glucose. Just copy this out. Glucose. Okay, glucose. So inside this glucose, what I have, you need to using here st dot text input like this way. Then we're going to using here, let's say glucose level. Okay, let's say glucose level like this one. Okay, now let's take in the another one. Let's call the blood pressures. So blood pressures. So let's copy this out. Blood pressures. So let's say inside this with column 3. That's it. Column 3 and blood pressures. Let's get st dot text input. Let's giving it here. Let's say blood pressure below. Blood pressure below like this way. So if I save it and go inside my application again, and okay, you can see here columns. Okay, and it also giving here the specifications. I mean how many columns below. Let's give it here 3. Let's save it. Now let's go on here and you can see 3 boxes. Number of pregnancies, the glucose level, the blood pressure below. Simple. Okay, let's go on here full screen mode and try to go on here VS Code again. That's it. Okay, so inside this 3 column I having the pregnancies, the glucose and the blood pressures. Now in the next line, it will creating the another boxes. It will create the another boxes. So what I need to do, I need to using here the same column one. So let's say with column 1. Okay, now I need to using here the skin thickness. Okay, let's go on here again. You can also go on here. You can see here, just if I go up. Okay, if I go up, then you can see just to avoid kidhar gaya. Yep, here you can see it having the new BMI column. Yep, you can see here. You can also take it from here, skin thickness, because I'm also using this one, new insulin score normal and new insulin score low. Okay, it is also having the formula. If you meet this out, the advanced project, that means the diabetes patient, just go on my multiverse series and try to check out this video. Otherwise, you can't actually understand this thing. Okay, what actually happening here? How can you creating the new features using this one? Okay, so if I go on here again, so now my next one is nothing but called the skin thickness. So skin thickness, let's try to paste it here, and now let's see using here the st dot let's say text input. Okay, so text input. Now inside that, what I can do, I need to giving here let's say skin thickness value like that, skin thickness value. Then again with column number 2, I having the, let's go on here, I having the insulin. Okay, I have the insulin. So paste it here, let's say st dot text input. Okay, text input. Then inside that I need to using here this insulin value. Okay, now inside the column number 3, so let's say with column number 3, so column number 3, so I having the bmi. So let's st dot text input. So text input, text not area, text input. Okay, input, and inside this let's give it here bmi value. Okay, so this is the column number 3. Now in the next column, we having another column. Okay, column 1 is started. So what do you have? We just having the diabetes predictive functions. Then last one is called the age, and outcome is nothing but my target class. So I need to give it here because I have to predict it out. So let's go on here again, and now what I can do, I'm simply going to using here with a column 1. Then I'm going to using here the diabetes predictive functions. Okay, predictive functions, and go on here and diabetes predictive functions. Now let's give it here the st dot text input. Okay, text input. Now inside that I'm going to using here the diabetes predictive function value. That's it. And now the last one, let's call with age. Okay, that's it. Now let's give it here age equal to st dot text input. So text input, and let's giving here the age. Okay, so I need to make it out column number 2. So column number 2 like this. Now if I go on here again, let's go on here, and you can see here number of pregnancies, the skin thickness value, is insulin value, bmi, and also the diabetes predictive function, and also age. Okay, that's it. Now what I can do, we can creating here one button so that we can check if the person having the diabetes or not. I mean, taking the input from this text input boxes. Okay, let's go on here again. So let's say if anyone press the button, okay, if anyone press the button, so it will try to calculating the value, it will getting the value from the text input and try to predict the diabetes. Okay, so what I can do is simply going to creating here, let's say if st dot button. Okay, st dot button. The st dot button is nothing but called the selected, or let's say diabetes test result, like that, test result. So what I can do inside this test result, and it actually I need to also taking this input value and try to print it out. So what I can do, I am simply going to using here one list, let's call user input. So user input, and inside that what I can do, I am simply going to creating here one list of that and try to copy all of them from here. Let's say just go on here and try to copy this from is. Okay, paste it, and now if you try to paste it here, and now all of the value is inside my user input. Now I need to using here the diabetes model. So let's say diabetes model, and try to using here the predict, and now I need to pass it inside my user input. So inside my user input, so what I can do, I need to also iterate to all the value as a list. So for that, what I can do, you can simply using here the list comprehensions. Let's say for x in user input. Okay, user input, then I can convert them into floating point number. So let's try to make it in the floating point number because this text input is taking the input just like the decimal number. So that's why I'm going to converting all the user input in the floating point number and try to pass it inside the same variable. Let's call user input. Okay, that's it. Now inside that, I'm trying to pass it here the user input as a list. Okay, user input as a list. Now if it is 1, that's mean the person having the diabetes. Otherwise the person don't have the diabetes. So what I can do, you can simply creating here one value, let's call diabetes, let's say diagnosis. Okay, let's say dia. Okay, I mean this is not my result. Okay, inside this one I'm trying to Asteroid, let's say diabetes result. Okay, result. किधर गया result. Okay, now inside that, if the diabetes model, so this is my predictions. So let's call predictions. So prediction. Okay, if the prediction is if the predictions of index number 0 is equal to 1, so that we can get the absolute value. If it is 1, that's mean we're going to making this diabetes result. So diabetes result equal to, it's just nothing but one string, so that you can add it inside my success. So let's say the person is diabetics. Okay, diabetic. Okay, the person has diabetic. Okay, let's copy this out now, and I'm going to pass it here. Okay, थोड़ा इधर पे जाओ, थोड़ा जाओ थोड़ा. Okay, fine. Now if a prediction is 0, or you can also using here the else. So let's try to using here the else. Okay, else the diabetes result is not, person has not, okay, has no diabetics. Okay, has no diabetics. Okay, fine. Okay, now what I can do is simply going to using here the diabetes result. So diabetes result, I'm going to pass it inside my st of success. So let's say st dot success. Okay, fine. Now that's it, fine. So our diabetes prediction is ready. If I try to save it out, and if I go inside that, and now you can see Streamlit has no attribute called success. Okay, thoda jana padega again. So SUCE, okay, success में C double होगा. So let's save it now. SUCCE. Okay, fine. Now let's save it now and go on here. And now if I try to giving here some value, let's call 6. Okay, let's call, I just give it here random value. Okay, just for testing. Okay, just for testing, I'm just giving you some random value. Okay, it's not convenient, I know. Just giving here random value if there any error or not. Okay, you can see here X has 8 features, but the gradient boosting classifier is accepting 18 features as the input. So what the problem here? You can see X has just 8 features, but we give it here. I mean, in the X mean this X just having the 8 features, but the gradient boosting classifier, I mean the model that actually using here, it accepting the 18 features, because we actually using here the feature encoding. We're using here the feature encoding inside our advanced project. You can see here that we're creating here some new features like new BMI, the new opacity, like this way. So I need to also adding those things. So that's why this error. So now what I can do, we need to also add those things inside my user input. Okay. So if I go inside this again, if I just go down, and you can see it having the you can see here new BMI opacity 1, new BMI opacity 2, new BMI opacity 3. I have to actually give it here and try to calculate them here. Okay. I have to also define here those kind of functions. So how and the opacity is 0, how and the opacity is 1, like this way. And to creating here some functions. Okay. So now what I can do, I need to go inside my add.py and try to close this diabetes.csv and also this one, so that it's look cool. Okay. So now what I can do, we can simply adding the extra features like new BMI or the new opacity, all of the features. So we can get it inside my advanced diabetes predictions columns. So you can see here the new glucose. So if I go down, and you can see, just a wait, and you can see we need to adding these new opacity one, this new BMI, and all of them the columns. So I'm going to copy this out, and I'm going to go inside this app.py, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, just all of the columns. Okay, so now what I can do is simply going to initialize with all of these columns value with 0. So let's underscore 1, so that because it's a variable name. Okay, now let's remove this out also. Here is it, here is it, here is it, here is it, here is it. Okay, just remove all of the things from here. Okay, I'll go to the fast forward. So I initialize all of the variables like new BMI opacity 1, new BMI opacity 2, and all of the things. Okay. Now what I can do is simply going to calculate the value for that. If I go up here, and now you can see how you're actually calculating the new obsity, new BMI obsity value. So it having one range, and based on the range, we are going to giving here some values. If I go down, you can see here this is the value for the glucose, and this is the value for the insulin. This is the value for the BMI, and you can see here it having some values if it is greater than 18.5. So you can do making this out as a new BMI one like this one. Okay. So now what I can do is simply going to go on here the app.py and try to implement this one. Okay. So now the question is how can I actually implement this one? Okay. We can simply implement this one this kind of way and try to fill with this value with the 0 and 1. If I go here, you can see just one. You can see offset 2 and offset 1. So when you're trying to actually making this one in a numerical format, we can get the value just like the 0 and 1. Okay. You can see normal, abnormal. If I go down again, just to wait, thoda slowly jana hai. You can see here in the new glucose where you can have see here the value is called the 0 and the 1. So now what I can do based on the range, I mean based on the value, we can actually initializing here the 0 and 1 values in our variables that you actually declare here. Okay. So by default is nothing but a 0. Okay, we have the 0. Now when it is changes in this range, we're trying to making this out is a 1 and the 0 like this way. Okay. So if I go here and try to initialize it here, so let's say if the floating point number, I'm trying to making all of the things in the floating point number so that it should be easier to you can pass it inside your model. Okay. So let's say we have the BMI. If the BMI, if the float BMI is greater or equal to 18.5, okay, 18.5. So that's mean it is nothing but the underweighted. So let's say new BMI underweighted. So let's say new BMI underweighted. So this is the underweighted. Okay, is equal to 1 like this way, like this way. If I go on here and you can see just to wait, here is it. You can see here it is light than this 18.5. That means this is nothing but my underweighted. You can see underweighted is the first positions, then you have the normal, then you have the overweighted and also the offset one. So this kind of way we're simply going to pass it pass the value inside my variables. Okay, so now what I can do, let's take some shells, and now let's say if the float, okay, if the float of BMI, otherwise you can also using here the LC. So let's say elif. Okay, if the elif it is nothing but 18.5 is less than equal to, let's say greater than equal to float of BMI, index BMI, and if you try to also less than from equal to 24.9, then it's nothing but my it's nothing but by normal, it's nothing but normal. So you can also pause it here. So you can simply make it this normal because we don't have normal right now. Okay, normal this one, let's call the new uh okay, you can see offset 1, offset 2, offset 2. We do actually not using here the normal one. Okay, so you can simply make it is pass. So let's make it pass. Let's elif. Okay, elif it is 24.9 to 9, and if it is greater than equal to float of BMI and it is less than equal to 29.9, so it's nothing but my overrated one. So it's called new, okay, BMI overrated, overrate. Let's try to make it on. So I'm trying to do it fast forward because it's really time consuming. So well, so what I can do, I simply going to add all of the things, and you can see here if the float of the BMI is nothing but less than 18.5, this is nothing but underweighted, and otherwise it pass. And try to if it is range between the 24.9 to the 29.9, so it will be overweighted, and otherwise it's called the offset 1, then offset 2, and the offset 3 in this range. Okay, so you have the also chart for that. If you don't understand this one, just check my diabetes prediction video, the advanced projects. Okay, so then we have the insulin normal, then having the glucose range. If it is greater than 70, it's having the new glucose low. Otherwise, it having the normal one and the normal 2 variated, and also the glucose secret. Okay, so this is how it actually added, and you can see here I also add here the column like you can see here the new obsity one. Okay, new of city 1, new of city 3, the overweighted, the underweighted. I think if I see it here, just write of city 1, of city 2, of city 3. Okay, in this way. So I need to also add it in a thing, because if I go here, you can see here it having the underweighted, then it having the overweighted. Normally it's just we don't actually do it for the normal ones. So what I can do, I need to also do it here. Just going to copy this out, just copy this out, cut this out here, and you get to paste it here, because I have to pass it in the same way, in the same range way, so that it can pass the value in our variables, okay, in a linear format. So I need to also change this out. Overweighted should be, underweighted should be in the first, then we having the all of the things. So what I can do, we can simply going to first going to copy this out, just going to copy this out. Okay, then I'm going to paste it here, because when we building our model, we need to give here the input just like this. Okay, so that's why I'm going to copy this out here. I'll just cut this here, and I'm going to paste it here, just paste it here. Okay, overweighted, then you have the underweighted, then overweighted, then opposite 1, opposite 2, opposite 3, then you have the insulin normal, then we having the glucose low, the glucose normal, then glucose overrated, and also the glucose secret. Okay, this kind of way you're not actually giving here. Okay, so we can also try to make it some style. Okay, that's it. Okay, so now what I can do is simply going to run this out, and if I save it, if I go inside my browsers, you can see it is loaded, and you can see diabetes test result. So let's go on the full screen mode. Otherwise you can also refresh it. Okay, so what I can do is simply going to give here the values, some values like number of pregnancies, the glucose level, the blood pressure level. So what I can do is simply going to take it from my diabetes.csv. So here you can see some values, let's 6, 148, like this value. I'm just going to copy this out, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so it having 15 is nothing but age. So what I can do, you can make it, let's say 15. Then we having the 15, then we having the 0.624. This is nothing but a diabetes predictive function, let's say 0.627. Then we have the BMI value. So BMI is nothing but 33.6, so 33.6. Then we having the insulin value is right now 0. Then we have in the 35. Then we have in the 72. Then we have in the 148. Okay, 148. Okay, and pregnancy is nothing but 6. So let's make it 6 now. Okay, so let's try to test it out, and you can see the person has the diabetic. If you go on here, and you can see the person having the diabetics. So it's really working very fine, because this is an advanced type of machine learning process that's really working fine. So now what I can do is simply going to do the same thing for the heart disease, and also the kidney disease also. So if I go down, you can see here, just going to remove these things. So what I can do is simply going to do this thing for the heart disease. So if I go inside my heart.csv, and you can see it having some certain value like age, sex, CP, the trans BPS, okay, all of the things. Okay, if I go inside my heart disease, and this is the heart disease, this is the advanced one. Okay, and I'm creating here the normal one, but this is the advanced project. I do it here. So what I can do, you can also get this code in the video description of the GitHub link. You can actually get this out from here, because this is most of the similar things that I actually do, like the diabetes predictions and also the kidney disease. The same thing, the same code. You can actually do it, because this is really very easy. I just making one simple video for that. Okay. So now what I can do, I am simply going to change all the value with corresponding the hard.csv file. So what I can do, I need to go inside my app.py, and there is no feature encoding part. You don't need to using this kind of feature like new glucose low or the new glucose normal, because this is the simple data set, the hard disease one. So now what I can do, I'm just simply going to remove this path and try to add here on title. So let's say I'm using here st.title, and I'm going to giving here my title. Let's call heart disease prediction using machine learning. So let's using machine learning. That's it. Okay, this is my title. Now I need to also add here some columns for the heart disease. So I'm going to using here same things. Let's column 1, then you have the column 2, then you have the column 3. Okay, then I'm going to using here st.columns. Okay, columns, and inside that I'm going to passing here my specification that how many column you are going to take it. So I have in some certain column like age, then you have sex, CP, trans BPS, soul, all of the things. Okay, so now what I can do, I simply going to creating it here. Let's say with column 1, and I'm going to make it, let's say, age equal to st dot text input. That's a text input, and I'm going to pass in here like that. Let's say age. Okay, then we're having the sex column. Copy this out, and I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so with, okay, with column 2 we having the column 2, we having the sex column. Okay, then we having the st dot text input. Okay, again text input, the same thing. Then we're going to adding here this. Okay, simple. Okay, or male or the female. Okay, now let's go on here again, and you can see here cp. Again, go on here and try to use here with column 3. Okay, with column 3, with column 3. So in the with column 3 it having the cp. Okay, then you have the st dot text input. Then simple, I'm going to pass it here the cp. Okay, let's make it capital cp. Okay, that's fine. Now let's try to do it for the all of the things, like with having, after the 3 columns we having the, let's say, with column 1. Okay, with column 1 again we having the trust bps. Okay, trust bps, I mean blood pressures. Okay, let's say st dot text input, and I'm going to using here this one. That's called it's called the trust bps. It's called the cp, means nothing but called the chest pain types. So let's make it like that, chest pain. Okay, chest pain types. Okay, okay, chest pain types, and this is called the trap bps. It's also called resting the blood pressures. So let's call the resting blood pressures. Okay, then we having the, what do you have, let's remove this out. We have the col, also called the serum cholesterol. Okay, let's try to using here with, okay, with column 2, and I'm going to pass it here. Let's say st dot text input. Okay, text input, and I'm going to using here, let's say serum. Okay, cp, it's call, it's nothing but called the cholesterol. So let's say cholesterol. Okay, cholesterol is nothing but in a mgdl. Okay, mg backslash dl. Fine. Now we having the fbs. So it's better I can do it fast forwarding, because it's really take time. So well, so I write down all of the code, and you can see here it having the so many columns, and you can see here rest ecg. Then you have the thalos, the accent, old peak, slope, ca, thal. Okay, so I just need to predict here the target, and you can see app.py. And inside this app.py, I'm simply going to adding all of the columns with column number 1, column number 2, like that. So now what I can do is simply going to creating here one user input that I do earlier for also the heart disease. So for the diabetes predictions. So what I can do is simply going to taking one, just going to taking one, what I call, taking one button. Okay, so let's say if the button, okay, if the button inside that is selected, or for, let's say, heart disease, heart disease test result. That's a test result, like that. Okay, okay, it should be a st dot button. Okay, that's it. So if it is selected, if anyone press the button for the heart disease, so what it can do, it can taking all the input from the users list. So let's say input equal to, so I'm simply going to go on here and try to copy all of the things from here. Just copy all of the things except the target, and I passed it inside one list. Okay, that's it. Now I'm going to converting all of this user input to the floating point numbers. So for that, I'm going to using here the list comprehension. That's a for x in user input. So user input. Okay, and I'm going to converting all of the things in a floating point numbers. So let's say float and x. I'm going to pass it here the float. Okay, that's it. That's it. Now what I can do, I'm simply going to make it, let's say, user input, and I'm going to using here my herd model. So let's say I'm going to using here the herd disease model. So let's herd disease model dot predict, and I'm simply going to pass it my user user input. That's it. Okay, so they gave me one predictions. So let's say predictions. So prediction. Okay, prediction. So if it is nothing but the 1, that's mean the person is having the heart disease. Otherwise, it don't have the heart disease. So let's say if the prediction, if the prediction of 0th index is equal to 1, that's mean this person having the heart disease. So what I can do is simply going to creating here one variable for that. So this is for heart disease, that's called result. Okay, like this one. So now inside that I'm simply going to pass here one empty string. Okay, that's it. Then I'm going to using it here, that's a heart disease, that's it. And I'm trying to using here in a string, let's call this person is having the heart disease. Okay, heart disease. Okay, well, otherwise it don't have. Okay, so let's say else. So you're simply going to copy this out, this heart disease result, and I'm trying to pass it here and try to is not having. Okay, doesn't have. Okay, is does not have any heart disease, does not have any heart disease. That's it. Now we can simply using here the st dot success. So let's say st dot success. Okay, success. Okay, this one success, and I'm trying to make it here this heart disease result, this one. Simple. Now let's save it this out and go inside my folder, and you can see this is my diabetes prediction. Let's try to reload it out, and now you can see for the diabetes prediction model. And if I go inside this hard disease predictions, now you can see here all the values. So hard disease prediction using the machine learning. So let's go on the full screen mode so that it looks better. Okay. So now what I can do, you need to giving here the values of the heart disease. So what I can do is simply going to give here some values. Let's say age and the sex, the same. So it's chest pain type. Then it having the resting blood pressures. Then it having the serum cholesterols. I just need to give here the values from my data set. So what I can do, I'm simply going to take in some value from my data set. Let's say give here 63. For the sex, I'm going to giving here 1. For CP, I'm going to giving here 3. For the resting blood pressures, I'm going to giving here 145. And for serum cholesterol, I'm going to giving here, let's say 233. Okay, just I'm taking this input from my one CSV file. Okay, let's say 1, then it having a 0, then let's say 150. Okay, 150. Okay, it's 250, not 150. Then what I have, we have the exercise included in genus. So let's make it 0. Okay, so depression included by exercise, depression hai or nahi hai. So let's say this is nothing but called thal is nothing but 1, and CA is nothing but 0, and also slope is nothing but a 0, and depression is nothing but 2.3. That's it. So let's test it out, and you can see user input is not defined. Okay, user input is not defined. If I go inside here again, user input is not defined. Okay, it's input. Okay, input. Okay, that's it. थोड़ा mistake हो जाता है यहाँ पर. Okay, let's save it now and go in here again and try to click here to again this one. Okay, now you can see this person is having the heart disease. So I taking this first one. If I go on here again and try to check this is the hard one, and I just taking this first one, and you can see here prediction is nothing but the 1. Okay, that means it's really working very fine. Cool. So our heart disease is also completed. Now what I can do for the same way, we're simply going to do this for the kidney disease predictions. So we're just having some the columns, and after that we're having the some user input. Then we have the predictions, and if the person is having the kidney disease or not, like this way, because it don't have any feature encoding, so that's why you don't need to actually delete out. Otherwise you need to also delete out like this way for the diabetes predictions. So now what I can do, I'm simply going to type it out and pause the video. So I write here the code for that, for the kidney disease predictions. If I go on here, you can see here the kidney disease CSV, and this is CSV file for that. It having so many columns. Okay, and also it having a notebook that's called the kidney disease.ipynb file. You can also get it from here. Okay, so we have also the tutorial for that how we can actually use the use machine learning model in order to predict the kidney disease. So you can get this video link in the description, and also this notebook at my GitHub link. So what I can do now, simply you're going to check this out, what actually happening here. See, in the kidney disease, we taking here the 5 columns. I mean, each row it having the 5 column, and after the 5 column, it having the another 5 columns like this one. So it having the age, the blood pressures, the specific gravity, the albumin, the sugar, the red blood cell, the push cell clumps. Then you have the bacteria, the glucose, random, the blood urea, then serum creatinine, then sodium, the potassium, the hemoglobin, packed cell volume, the white blood cell, red blood cell, hypertension, diabetes mellitus, then coronary artery disease, hepatitis, is happy, the edema, also called the peda edema, then anemia. Okay, so all of the things. Okay, so just it having so many columns, so that's why I just type it out and try to pause the video because it's really very big. बहुत सारी यहाँ पर फीचर्ड कॉलम है इसलिए सो सेम थिंग यूजर कॉलम ले लो यूजर इनपुट ले लो इसके बाद इसको फ्लोट में कन्वर्ट कर लो then you can see using here the Kinesis model is simply going to print it out. Okay, so this is how you can actually building here the machine learning applications using the Pythons and Streamlit. So now it's time to test it out. It's time to test it out. Let's save it out and go inside our applications. And now you can see this is our application. If I go inside my diabetes predictions, you can see for the kidney disease, you can see here all the columns. Okay, so you can also test it out. So and it also show the result. So what I can do is simply going to using it here just to write and it also print it out. So for that I need to using here the st dot success inside my button. Okay, you can give it inside my button, otherwise you can also give it after the button. So what I can do is simply going to using here st dot success. Okay, success. Okay, success, and I'm going to using here these kidney disease predictions. Okay, this is called kidney disease, kidney diagnosis. Okay, this one. Okay, this is the result one. So st dot success, and to make it like that. Okay, you can, if you see inside that, it is out the button. You can see out of the button. Okay, that's it. So you need to also initialize these things. Which one? Yes, kidney disease is out of the button. Okay, save it now. Let's go on here, and you can see this is the kidney disease result. Okay, let's go on here the predictions, and you can see here for the kidney disease. Okay, and you can see here the success button. So you can also give it here the values like age, the blood pressures, the specific gravity, all the values, and for the diabetes you can also give it here the value. And after that it actually give me some give me the response based on your input. Okay, so we also test it out the heart disease. Let's test here the diabetes prediction and also the kidney disease. Kidney disease is nothing but having the so many columns, like 27, more than 27 columns. So it's really big tasks to test it out. So I'm simply going to testing here for the diabetes prediction because it has the last number of value. So let's say 6. Then glucose level, let's say 148. Then blood pressure value, let's call 72. Then skin thickness value, let's give it here 35. And insulin value, let's give it here 0. BMI, let's give it here 33.6. And diabetes predictive function, let's give it here 0.6 to 7. And age is nothing but let's give here 50. Okay, so this is on diabetes, this person having the diabetes. Okay, if I go inside this kidney disease predictions, and this is have so many value, I need to put it down. Okay, let's pass here age, let's give it here 48. Then let's say blood pressures, so let's give it here 80. Then a specific gravity, let's give it here 1.02. Then albumin, okay, albumin, let's give it here 1. Then then it having sugar, let's give it here sugar 0. Then red blood cell, I'm just taking it from my one CSV file. Red blood cell, it is normal, so I can give it here 1. Push cell, let's give it here 1. Push cell clumps, let's give it here 1. Let's get bacteria, let's say we give it here 1. Blood pressure random, let's give here 1 to 1. And blood urea, I mean blood in the urea because kidney disease, so that's why let's say urea, let's say 36. Okay, and serum creatinine, let's give it here 1.2. Then sodium, let's give it here 1. Potassium, let's give it here 0. And hemoglobin, let's give it here 15.4. Okay, and packed cell volume, okay, let's give it here 44. And white blood cell count, let's give it here 7800. Red blood cell count, okay, let's call 5.2. And hypertension, let's give it here 1. And diabetes mellitus, if it is diabetes mellitus having, or hypertension, so you can, let's give it here 1. Coronary artery disease, so coronary, if you have the coronary artery disease inside this data set, you can give it here 0 1, like the 0, let's say 1 1 1, like this way. Okay, let's try to test it out. This person doesn't have the kidney disease. Okay, so that's mean you, if you the data you actually given, you don't have in the kidney disease. Okay, okay, so you can also get the value from here because this is really quite large. Just need to take it from here. Okay, and you also remove here some value, I mean some things from here. You need to also take care of them. And if I go down, you can see here that how can actually building the kidney disease predictions. Okay, yeah, because there are so many values I need to put it down. But this is the way that how can you building one multiple disease prediction applications using Python and Streamlit. Okay, so that's it for today. Now hope you enjoyed tutorial, and make sure to subscribe to the channels, and don't forget to hit the bell icon, and I'll be back with the other tutorial. So till then, take care and bye bye.